Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our FYI webinar series. My name is Angela Simoes with PALCUS, and we are really excited to be partnering with Banco Alimentar in Portugal today for our webinar. Our presenter is Isabelle, is it Jeanette or Jeanette?
Jeanette.
Jeanette. And so before we get started with that, oh, did I miss the, nope, wrong one. What happened to the, oh, it must be hidden. Well, if you want to ask a question, you'll have to put it in the chat module. There is usually a slide here that shows the chat module because most everybody will be on mute. But if you'd like to ask a question, please pop it in there. Our presenter today, as I mentioned, is Isabelle Jones. She said she has no title. She's just, a wife with she's married with 5 children, but I was able to determine that she's president of Banco Alimentar. And she's here to tell us a little bit about the organization and the work that they're doing, especially amidst this COVID-19 pandemic crisis that we are all facing. And so, Isabelle, I'm going to turn controls over to you so that you can share your screen. There you go. So welcome, Isabelle. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you for this invitation. It's really an opportunity for me to share what we have done in Portugal in food banks, and what I would like to thank PALCUS is about this invitation and this opportunity to show what food banks really do for the most needed in Portugal. And when I was doing this presentation, I had the opportunity to see that we, both PALCUS and Food Bank, are working for 29 years now. And this is a really coincidence. And this makes me think that wherever we are, we really Portuguese are always very generous and very solidary. Just one point, prior item, is that Portugal has one of the highest poverty rates in European Union. And more than 21% of Portuguese population, that means more than 2 million people, lived in poverty or social exclusion. That means that more than 1 million people live with less than 215 euros a month, and 2 million people live with less than 400 euros a month. That's a lot. And so we have a very fragile society and social structure. And when there are pandemic like coronavirus or other like that, all the society is very, very, very impacted because we are really not very strong in the social assistance. And so the food banks that work for 29 years now have the mission to fight against food waste, recovering surplus food products to distribute it to the most needed in partnership with charities and like shelters or nurse care or other things that help people in need. So when we started 29 years ago, we had one food bank just in Lisbon that helped feeding 1,500 people. And now we have 21 food banks that help feeding almost 4% of Portuguese population. There are many that are old people that have very, very small pensions. Maybe some of them are familiar with the Portuguese community that is the United States and that is joining PALCO community. But what I know is that we have food banks almost all over Portugal, and that they work all together with logistic processes that keeps food safety and all the hygienic conditions, and that we have partnerships with agriculture producers organizations, and we managed to get tons and tons of fruits and vegetables that if it wasn't for food banks distribution, we'd be spared. And now we can take it to the most needed. And so we do it with social institutions, because that we know that if we distributed it directly to people in need, maybe we were not helping these people because we couldn't empower all these people. But if we partnership with other charities, we can do this social inclusion work, and we can help breaking poverty cycles. And so what we do is for people and with people. We can talk long about numbers and statistics. We have all these collected, and all our activity is very accountable because we have audits of our accounts, and we for each euro that is donated, we live just on donations, both private and corporate. We don't receive any funds from public aid. And so for us, it's very important to have our activity very accountable. But if we have all these statistics and numbers, we never forget what is what is the mean of all this activity. We have many people that don't have food on the tables, and so these are families with children, or families that would like to have a normal and regular food and meals every day, but that can't, simply because they don't have employment, or simply because they don't have qualifications, or because they don't have the means to do that. So we have created a network of 21 food banks all over Portugal that share the same values, and we all, almost all of us, are volunteers that are united by the same mission, that is feeding all the people that need to be helped. And we have all the same brand food bank, Banco Alimentar. This image that you can see with the bee and the hay, that represents two persons that are together and that can be up and stand by together because they help each other. And so what happened with the impact of coronavirus?
Isabelle, just very quickly, you mentioned that we should be able to see an image. We're not seeing your screen. I don't know if you were intending to share something.
I was always sharing. You didn't receive?
No, we're not seeing your screen. If you just
okay.
click share screen.
I was okay. There's me.
In the beginning. May I just?
Because I think that it was Angela that stopped this.
I stopped sharing my screen, but you should be able to share yours now. There we go. Yep.
Okay.
There, no, that's better.
There we go. Oh,
so that
great.
was the first image that you are seeing now?
Yes, we can see that now.
So maybe it's better if I start.
You may start, perhaps. Yes, that could be.
Okay, I thought that you were seeing everything, and now I don't. So.
Oh, that's great.
I was telling. Now you are seeing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I was telling that it was a really coincidence when I was preparing this to see how both PALCUS and Food Bank have been serving for 29 years now.
Yeah, we share a birthday. That's great.
That's nice. And I think I thought that I was sharing my screen. And so what I was telling is that really in Portugal we have 21.6% of the Portuguese population that are poor and that live in poverty, more than 2 million people, and that is a very fragile social structure. And so we have created food banks with the same mission to recover surplus and embracing the same values of giving and sharing. In 29 years, we have built this network of food banks all over Portugal in the several regions. The first one was in Lisbon 29 years ago, and now we are helping almost 4% of Portuguese population with food. And for us is very important to have the same mission and to have the same modus operandi all over Portugal that keep us very we can do exactly the same with a warehouse, with all the logistical processes that keep all the food safety and hygienic conditions, because we are talking about tons and tons of food that is distributed every day. We have more than 120 tons a day of food distributed every day, because people must eat every day. And so it's very impressive to think that all this food, or most of this food, could be spared just for commercial reasons. And so we do partnership with distribution chains and agriculture producers, not to spare all these products so that we can take them and distribute it in partnership with social organizations. And by distributing food, we can promote social inclusion, empowering people, and surely breaking poverty cycles. Because in Portugal, we have a very strong poverty that keeps going on the next generation. And even though we can promote education and we can build capacity in new generations, we have many families that will still be poor if we can't do something to help children breaking this cycle of poverty where they are born. So food banks work together with charities, and when we work this, we just work much more than feeding them. We distribute much more than food. We help these charities to have management and organization so that they can better help families in need. And so what I was telling that we have everything very accountable because we live on donations and volunteer work, but we know that numbers represent meals that are on the table of those who need it. And so for us it's very important to have these on top of our minds. We distribute tons and tons of food, but this food is absolutely indispensable for those we are helping today, and we would like not to be needed. We would like that people could get their autonomies and could get their unemployment or a better life so that they would not need our help. And so I think that it was here where I was interrupted. I think that when an impact as coronavirus arrives in Portugal and all over the world, when the societies are very fragile, they are much more vulnerable to all these impacts. And if coronavirus brought a different and tragic dimension to those in need, we have now a wave of middle and low middle class people who had never before experienced poverty and hunger. And I am in a food bank for the last 27 years of my life as a volunteer, and I helped creating all this network and even in other countries. But I have never seen such a drama as we have now in Portugal with the impact of coronavirus. Because what happened is that those who had their lives and budgets that were balanced, now they are completely they don't know what to do because they don't have any income. And so we were helping many families, and now we have more than 60,000 people more than those we were helping by the end of February. And so in 2 months we can tell that all our context was changed. In one side, food banks have much more demands and much more applications of food. And in the other side, we have much more charities and municipalities that ask us food products. But what happened is that we had usually a campaign in supermarkets to get food by the end of May, and this year we couldn't do it just because we had to respect all the restrictions that were about the distance, the social distance, and the non-circulation, and that was mandatory. And so we have more applications of food and less food to donate. So we have to be more inventive, or we have to get more help. And this is exactly what João and Elidio thought when they talked to PALCUS about this possibility of presenting your community this reality that is now hurting very dramatically Portugal.
Yes.
The main reason of the request of food is the unemployment or the workplace that were closed. We have many restaurants or little stores or fairs that were organized that are no longer open, and so they cannot guarantee the salary that would be needed to these families. And so it's incredible, but for the 74% of those who apply for food, it's because they stopped receiving income from work. They don't have income. And so even if there are some public assistance or subsidies, they are not yet implemented. Mm. And so between the decision processes and the time that is between those who need to receive and this public assistance, there is a time where families must eat. And so they come to food bank and they ask us if we cannot help them, and we must do, because this is our mission, is to help those who need it. And so this is this is what we would to share with all the community that are together in PALCUS, is that are Portuguese families that are now suffering with the pandemic impacts and need food support. And I think that maybe you know some of them. And even if you are far in the United States, maybe you have families here, or grand families, or friends. And please don't forget that even if we are a distance, an ocean in distance from us, you are still Portuguese, and we trust a lot on the generosity of all Portuguese wherever they are. And so this was what I was wanting to share with you, that I'm sure that with PALCUS we can make Portuguese count wherever they are, even if they are in the United States or in Europe or in Africa, but that in this moment in Portugal there are many Portuguese that count on all the other Portuguese, even if they are not geographically together. So thank you. This was my message. Maybe you want now to ask some questions?
Sure, that was great information, some incredible numbers, Isabelle, so thank you for sharing that. I noticed in some of the pictures there were meals being given, so not just groceries. So can you talk a little bit about, you know, the breakdown between, is it a place where people can come and get groceries? And then do you also do like service of hot meals? And then, you know, just explain a little bit about that.
Okay, food banks do not help directly people in need. What we do is to partnership with charities, and so charities can distribute meals and groceries to these families. And when they distribute these kinds of products, they also distribute the education needs. They also ask families to send children to school or to get health programs. And so food is a part of, I would say, an envelope of aid, and it's not the only aid that is distributed. But it's the most important of all, because if you don't have food, you can't even think.
Right.
When you don't eat, you can't do nothing.
Right.
And so, if you are from a poor family, and if you have at least, if you have food on your table, you can go look for work. But if you don't have food, you cannot go and look for work. And so food banks distribute food as the basis of all the processes of assistance. And so we think that by distributing food, we can recover the human dignity that often is lost in poor people.
When you showed the map of where your food banks are located, I noticed there were only a few areas that didn't have an actual food bank. I think Guarda, and then a couple of Bragança. So are there charities that you partner with that then distribute to those areas? Because I imagine there are people in need in those areas as well.
Exactly. That's a good question. Thank you, Angela. What we do in this north interior of Portugal is to be in partnership with Red Cross and Caritas, because there is not enough food there is not enough food to be collected. And so what we do is to send from other food banks, namely Lisbon, Porto and Braga, that are richer, we can say that have more food, because there is more production industry near big cities. And so we send to these charities with which we are in partnership, and all over Portugal, there we can distribute food because we have partnerships with Red Cross, Caritas, or some churches that operate there.
Great. And I noticed there's locations in Azores and Madeira as well, which is great to see. So if people want to help, obviously making a donation of any amount would help, and they can do that directly on your website.
Okay, so if people that are listening to us can help food banks, it's very easy. They can go to a website where they can donate food by alimentoestaideia.pt, and so, or to do a donation by this number of bank account that is here, and so we will be very grateful. I must tell you that all the donations will be to buy food. We don't use any donation on costs, on daily costs, because this campaign about Rede de Emergência Alimentar is just to get food for those that are now impacted by coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Angela, may I just, and Isabel, may I just raise a couple of things that I think are important for those who are in the United States. First of all, we are all aware that the concept of food banks was born in the United States. Actually, it was brought to us not by the United States, but through Belgium, actually. And that's how it all started back, I think, in 1991. And on that front, I think there is a great affinity because between ourselves, the Portuguese, and you, Portuguese Americans or Americans in the States, because this sense of generosity and solidarity, where you are unique, I would say, it's very interesting to see within the picture that Isabelle has just drawn on the poverty that exists in this country. There is at the same time an incredible generosity. It's really incredible. That's one issue. The other issue is that the chain that perhaps, Isabelle, if I may, that I would like to underline, the chain of support to the food bank. First of all is the industry, the agro industry, and the agriculture. Then, of course, the agro business and all the distribution chains, and then endless services that are given for free to the food bank. I think that the food bank, I've said this many times, actually, we have discussed this many times. The food bank in Portugal is a case study in terms of costs. In overall costs, perhaps the fixed costs of all this organization, which gathers in those two campaigns that we have in May and December, around 40,000 people on each occasion, who go around all the supermarkets in Portugal to receive the donations by all the population. There is this sense of the presence of this image of the Portuguese food bank in the community. But so services from lawyers, from accountants, from transport chains, all this is for free. So this means that it's not very easy to make this calculation, but we think that the case study lies on the cost. In terms of what the Portuguese Food Bank provides, perhaps we don't exceed more than 3% of the total output in terms of costs, which I think is a unique case in the world. So this sense of generosity is shared by you, because we know that in America you have an incredible sense of community and of mutual support, and which is, I think, it's very interesting to underline. Another thing that you, Angela, asked is about our presence in Azores. we know how important the Azores are in the United States, as well as from Madeira and the parts of the country. And yes, we are in the Azores. Isabelle, sorry.
I have a question for you, Isabelle. Do they have another campaign in Portugal similar to Banco Alimentar?
To collect food?
Yes, to collect food or to help the people in need?
Now, Food Bank is the largest charity in Portugal that gets and distributes food. But it's very specific in their mission and their action. There are 21 food banks, and they are in partnership with charities. We have more than 2,600 charities that get food from food banks, and it's the charities that distribute. So we are also in partnership with other big organizations like Red Cross or Caritas or other UNICEF or other, but we give them food so that they can distribute it to needed people. And so I think that we can say that we are the only that do this kind of operation in Portugal. And I think that we are very trustable and respected because we never did what others can do better than what we do. And so we are in partnership, and we want to keep the sustainable objective for the millennium in partnership with both individuals, companies, and other entities. And so for us, it was really important to do this campaign of collecting food, and so as we couldn't, now we must collect for donations to buy this food that is needed till December. By the end of the year, if we can, we will do another collection of food.
The reason that I asked that, because as you know, we have RTP International, all those channels that are just directed to the immigration. And here, they always come up with, every single time before games and before the news, they have like a emergência alimentar. And that's what the people, are questioning me when because as you know, I already contact people through the emails asking for donations. And the question is always, and about another emergência alimentar, and then, well, they are not connected, and well, but they are the only ones that they come on TV before the games and before the news.
Elidio, Emergência Alimentar was this project that is now in my screen. We really organized a new project to help the new needed families that is called Food Emergency Network. This is from food banks, but this network wants to put together all the charities that were still working, because many of the charities closed because they had volunteers that were older and that had to stay at home, but also because somehow they had to close because here in Portugal, with the restrictions for coronavirus, we had to close the schools and all the social answers for children. And so families had their children at home, they couldn't go to schools, and so some of the charities closed part of their services, and that was a big inconvenience for the people that were helped previously, but also for those who needed food now. And so we launched this Rede de Emergência Alimentar and RTP, before the television chain, was with Rede de Emergência Alimentar to get donations to buy food. That is the same one. It's from our organization. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
For those that you know, because you mentioned that you have other services, like you provide education and other things like this. So if somebody has the capacity to help in other ways, what would be the best way for them to get in contact with you? Just send an email directly and explain what they're thinking about, or are there certain areas where you know, if there were services or other areas that people could, you know, volunteer their time or volunteer their expertise or anything like that? Or perhaps even if somebody has a connection to perhaps a farm or food distribution, you know, I'm just thinking of other ways, not just a straight cash donation, but if people have connections to do other things, what's the best way to reach you?
That is very nice, because we are always looking for new ideas and new experiences, and for us, if there is someone that wants to share best practice or other ideas that can do the difference in Portugal, just send us an email to Banco Alimentar, and so for us is very good if we can get more volunteers or more donations, even if they are in services or in time or in food products. And so if anyone wants to contact us, just send a mail and we will answer, or we will.
I guess now it's
she froze up a little bit. Yeah. Well, so I think what we'll, oh, there she is. You're back.
Okay, it's my internet maybe. So I was telling that it's good if someone wants to share time or ideas, just send a mail to us and we will answer.
So we'll include contact information in the notes, so because this recording will be on YouTube. So in the description, we'll include the contact information there. And then also when we upload it to our website and to our Facebook page and newsletter, we'll make sure that all contact information is there so people can get in touch.
And now a newsletter will be really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because maybe we can put our email address, and for us it's very, very good if we have ideas from others and other experience that had some better results.
Okay. Well, we have no other questions on our end. Is there any other questions from the group?
I have one question. This is Manuel Lucena from Miami. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello, Manel.
Hello, Manel.
Hola. Isabelle, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative. I just have one question. What do you think about the evolution of the needs of feeding the Portuguese population in the near term? Do you think that those situations are going to be worse in the short period of time, say until the end of the year or next year, or are they going to improve?
Unhappily, I think that bad times or tough times will still come to Portugal, because now we have some of the corporates that were in layoff, and so they were not sending people to unemployment, but that is going to stop, and we will have high levels of unemployment by the end of the year. And also because in Portugal, we need to export part of our production, and our partners from Europe are not buying at the dynamic and rhythm that we were used to or that we need to. But also because Portugal now lies on tourism, and I don't know when we will get back the trust on tourism and all the tourist circulation, and so I think that Portuguese society will have hard times to face in the next months, or I would say even in the next years.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if there is no more questions, just to thank again PALCUS and to thank Angela, Elidio, Manuel that gave us the opportunity of sharing what we do with so many Portuguese that live in the United States, because really we think that all the Portuguese count wherever they are, and we count also on the Portuguese. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad that we were able to be connected. I'm just going to share, usually share a couple of last screens, but I'm going to leave this one here and just say that, you know, thank you to everybody that participated, and thank you, Isabelle and João. And I, you know, like I said, we will make sure that everybody is informed about how to donate and how to help. And perhaps we can do another one of these early next year as an update to kind of see where things are going. But we look forward to a continued partnership between our two organizations. And we ask anybody watching this this webinar to share it with friends and family, because this is a free resource and it's available to everybody. So please share. And if you have ideas for other webinars, that we are open to that as well. And so if you could just reach out to us at palcus.org, that would be great. And so with that, I'll say, be safe, everybody. Take care, and put a bange on the wonderful work that you are doing, Isabelle and João, with the food bank, with Banco Alimentar. It was a real pleasure to learn about this, and we hope that it will be helpful in your effort.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Excellent. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Angela. Thank you very much. Very,
Bye-bye.
very kind of all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.